Bum 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 ba-da-dum, ba-da-dum bum bum ba-da-dum, ba-da-dum ba-da-dum bum 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 dum dum bum bum ba-da-dum, ba-da-dum bum bum ba-da-dum, ba-da-dum ba-da-dum bum bum dum, bum bum ba-da-dum bum bum bum, dum bum ba-da-dum bum bum bum, bum 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 ba-da-dum. Bum 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 bum, bum bum ba-da-dum bum bum bum, bum 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 ba-da-dum. So now you're in the mixing stage, right? Okay. Do not ever start mixing before everything's recorded. Okay, because you're gonna get a fucking headache. Now, you can like kind of give it like a rough mix, just if you're whatever, but like save the mixing for last. Okay, you just want to make sure all the tracks and shit are clean and stuff. And if you're at a recording studio, here's another thing I kind of forgot to mention, is that uh, you don't have to record clean signals, and then um, do the outboard processing for it later. In other words, if you have a guitar, let's say you're in a fucking recording studio, right? You have a guitar. That's a that's a that's a fucking guitar, okay? If you're overdubbing it, yeah, you go direct to your computer and then you do all your fucking effects here and shit, and that's cool. But if you're in an actual recording studio, do not fucking go direct. If you have time, what you want to do is record the fucking amp through the amp, okay, with the fucking mic, okay, and then it's gonna go through your compressor and you know, preamp, compressor, um, uh, and that's the signal chain, and maybe some effects. Maybe you want to put a delay or some shit. Do these fucking things at the before it gets recorded. Okay, this step you want to do before it gets recorded. If you're at a real fucking studio, don't go direct. Just put the fucking effects in there already. And if you need to like do some EQ to it, just like just a couple things to just get it in there. Get it in there already fucking already sounding good when it gets recorded. Okay, it's gonna save you time in the mixing. Okay. Now, that's a really important point that I wanted to put out. That same thing applies with the vocals. Just compress it, EQ it, sounds good. Because when you're in the mixing, this is where it comes into play, right? Now, most recording studios or home studios or whatever, they do what's called in the box mixing, right? So let's say you go to the recording studio and then you want to mix it at home. It's called in the box. ITB, in the box, meaning you're gonna mix it on your Pro Tools or your Ableton or whatever the fuck you use, your Logic. You actually wanna avoid that at all costs. Okay, in the recording studio, they have lots of expensive shit that's gonna make it sound way better, and I'll go into that. So you want to avoid in the box mixing at all costs. Now, if you have to do it, then you got to do it. Which brings up the point is that if you're in the recording studio and you already did all those cool effects like the compressor and EQ, the in the box is gonna be okay. It's gonna be better. Okay, you still want to avoid that shit, But if you have to do it, you have to do it. Like me, I had to fucking do it for um, all my projects because of budgeting. But if I had more money, go to the fucking recording studio and have them mix it. Okay. Why? Because they have a lot of expensive shit that makes things sound good. What is that expensive shit? Okay, they have and multitudes of it. By the way, they have really good compressors. They have, and you can say, oh, well, I can just compress that in my laptop. It's not gonna sound as good, okay? And the other shit that they have is analog shit, right? Analog. Analog, meaning their actual, the mixing board. The mixing board has a lot of like transistors and shit, okay? Analog. And what that means is that it makes it sound better. Analog sounds better than digital, okay? Don't fucking, no, it doesn't. No, it does, okay? And the reason why is because, I'll fucking tell you right now, the reason why analog sounds better than digital, whether it's tape or it's a transistor base or it's tubes or whatever, is because analog distorts differently than digital. What does that fucking mean? That means an analog, when you warm up the circuits and shit, or like if it's tape or whatever, it distorts. Okay, the way it distorts is that it actually boosts the third harmonics of the signal. Okay, when it's distorting. When digital distorts, it actually boosts, I think, the seventh harmonic. Something like that. I read that from a mastering book, Mastering Audio by Katz, I think it is. I'll put the link in the description. And that's actually really fucking good to know. And then also another reason why analog sounds better is, so I'll put like the distortion. Mixing. It's analog, digital. Okay, so the distortion is distortion sounds better. Okay, the distortion, and the aural effect of analog is the spatial characteristics have a 3D dimension. It's 3D. Okay, what does that mean? That means like everything has space, it has depth. It just sounds fucking better. When it's digital, everything is smushed, and the distortion, it sounds like shit. Okay, you cannot distort digital because it boosts the fucking seventh harmonics, which means your ears are like, it's a dissonance. Okay, like if you're doing music, if you press one key next to the minor seconds, it's dissonant, right? It's the same shit. It just doesn't sound good. And the other thing with digital, so that's the distortion. So with analog, if you go, here's your decibel bar. If it goes over this, with analog, it's okay to a certain degree, because there's a way it distorts where you can, if you know what you're doing, you can manipulate that shit, make it sound good. If it's digital, if it goes over the fucking bar, it's gonna sound like shit. So when you're recording digital, you want to make sure that you kind of go like halfway on the fucking levels, okay? I actually, and actually it's okay. You can go from 1/4 here to about like, keep it from 1/4 to half. It's fine. It's actually when you're recording digital. You don't have to go too fucking hot digitally. Why? Because when you're recording like 24 bits or whatever the fuck it is, you actually, there's a lot of information there, and it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be okay. So mixing, okay. So you wanna avoid the in the box shit at all costs. If you can. The professional, hello, focused? Okay. So the professional recording studio, if you can have it mix there, then cool. If not, for budget reasons, if you have to mix in the box, fuck it, it is what it is. So that's the mixing process, okay, and basically, for the mixing, what you want is, for pop music, okay, after you have all your songs, you want to make sure that you have a good headroom, okay, meaning that they're not too hot, okay, so all your songs are going to be like, when you're finished with the mixes, here's your master fader, and you want to make sure, like, let's say that's 0 or whatever, you're going to want to make sure it's around here, okay, for your mixes. So you have enough headroom for the mastering, because the mastering, it's another step in the process, and it's going to make that shit sound better, and it gives them enough room to iron out some fucking wrinkles and bring everything at the same level. So that's basically mixing in a nutshell. We could go over like things in more depth in other videos. You could check it out, but this is just the basic fucking rundown to produce an album. And I'm gonna edit this shit and make it look more, make it fucking flow better. So anyways, so that's the mixing. Okay, and then it goes into the mastering process. Now, for mastering, everybody, you gotta do this shit. Nowadays, dude, like back in the old days, they didn't. The only reason they had mastering was to cut vinyl records. Okay. Then it evolved to so that was mastering back then, from cutting records. That's what it was for. It was a process. It was a fucking process. But they didn't really do anything to the sound. They just cut the fucking records. Later, what happened was, different, in the music businesses, you would have like producers, and basically there was like a big budget. There was a big fucking budget in the music business, because back then they were selling stuff, and it was got a big budget, right? So what happened was, like tape, they started using tape, whatever, and basically what happened was, an artist, is not tied to the record label's recording studio. They can go to any recording studio. Shit. An artist can go to any producer, go to any studio. They have fucking big budgets now, so everything's like freelance and shit. So basically what happens was, now like the record labels, they're like, well shit man, like now we gotta like kind of even out all these fucking recordings, because what happens is, if you go to this studio or go to that studio, go to this studio, things start not balancing. It's not done at the same fucking place. You could have one song recorded here, one song recorded there, one song recorded here. So then they had to start. That's when mastering started to kind of, even out the sounds. So now what happened is, now, the shit, what happened was CDs. So the digital recording era. Now what happened is, there was a fucking transition, and the mastering people, they're like, okay, well now we really gotta figure this fucking shit out and have it so everything is more sounds good. Um, and now there's no more CDs. We've passed the digital recording era. Now we're into the streaming era. So now you got a lot of independent musicians, right? Independent musicians, and they don't really know what the fuck they're doing. Okay. Um, and those independent musicians, they have their mixes, and you absolutely have to get this fucking shit mastered at these days. Absolutely have to, because now there's a shit called the sound wars, where everything needs to sound louder and louder and louder, and it actually sounds worse and worse and worse. So we'll get to that later. And then we got in the box mixes. So all these things add up. So now mastering is actually a final mix down, kind of, sort of. Now it's more of a, it's definitely taking more of a role, rather than, instead of cutting records, they're like, no, we gotta make them sound good, we gotta make them balance the sound. So this is an absolutely fucking crucial step. Now, which brings to the point, if you're an independent musician, you're doing your album, do not fucking master it yourself. Do not pay someone to master it for you. Like, oh, like my friend can master it for. No. Go to a real mastering business, a mastering house, okay? Now the cool thing is, there's the going rate for mastering house really depends now, because of the internet, because of the global commerce. So I remember when I did my album when I was 19, produced the other local rap artist going by the name of Crazy. It was his album Alex in Wonderland. We mastered it at Bernie Grundman's mastering house in Hollywood. That's where they did the Dr. Dre albums, the Michael Jackson, all the fucking great albums, you know. And back then, at the time, it was 14 tracks, and I believe the cost was about $1,500. Okay, something like that. That was in 2005. Wait, 2004, 2005. Okay, let's just say 2005. It was like about $1,500 to master a 14-track album. When I wanted to do my EPs, I wanted to get it mastered at Bernie Grundman. It was like fucking, I think it was, 14 tracks. I think it was like 1,000. I think it was gonna be like $1,000 for 4 tracks, something like that. For 4 tracks, and I think they're like, I don't know, like 300 and something per hour or some shit like that. So that kind of gives you an idea of, like, well, the prices have gone up, of course. This is 2000. Let's say 14, almost 10 years later, right? Fucking prices are almost fucking quadrupled or some shit like that. But here's the cool thing, is that there was Oasis Mastering in LA, and they were doing a deal, right? After hour deal for $100 per track. So 1 track, $100 to get it mastered. Now, granted, that was the after hours special, meaning like kind of not their standard rate. They're kind of helping me out, you know what I'm saying? So what they really cost is like maybe, I don't fucking remember, maybe like $300 per track. Let's just hypothetically. Per track, which means album to master can go anywhere from $1,000 to let's say 5,000, and that's for the mastering. Okay, so we'll break down the final cost of everything later, but that gives you an idea. The cool thing now though is that there's a lot of like internet, because of the internet commerce, you can actually the going rate is actually, if you go elsewhere online mastering can go from 65 per track, and they could do mixing too. So it's kind of crazy now that you can just like upload your fucking music and these other companies can just mix and master it for you without you having to, like, you know, saves you a lot of steps, you know. It's pretty cool. They didn't have that much, it wasn't so much opportunity back in even back in 2005, you know, to get a quality mastering place. It was like you know, maybe there's like 5 in LA that are like really great, and then a couple here and there, but now you got like anybody could set up a goddamn mastering house, because the, you know, the technology and the global commerce and all that fucking shit adds up. So anyways, whatever, that's a rant. Okay, so that's mastering. Okay, now once you got your shit mastered, then, and your artwork, nowadays you don't have to have a fucking album artwork like packaging, like a CD, because people don't buy CDs anymore. So all you really fucking need is your 10 tracks, okay, plus your art, and then that equals a fucking album. Now this artwork is probably gonna be like 1600 by 1600 pixels. That seems to be like the standard. Actually, just 1600 squares, right? 1600 pixels. 1600 by 1600. Okay. Okay, and then your 10 tracks here. So then you're done. You got your fucking album, dude. Now there's some other shit. You know, what do you do next, right? Okay, so here's the other fucking thing. Okay, okay, so you got your album. Now what's the next step? The next step is just getting it out there, right? Okay, so, some technical shit. Okay, ASCAP. Okay, this American Society of Composers, and I don't fucking know what it stands for, or BMI, whatever. So basically, you sign up with these guys. You copyright your shit with the government. It's like $30. Then you sign up with ASCAP. Make sure you input all your informations and shit for your album. That's so you can get royalties from, like, I don't know, from the radio and shit like that. And then you go to fucking Tunecore. And basically Tunecore is a digital distribution now. So I think it's like $50 a year or some fucking shit like that. $50 a year. And then basically they do Spotify and iTunes and YouTube, which is really cool. Anytime somebody plays your track on YouTube, you'll get paid, and they collect the fucking money for you. So copyright, ASCAP, Tunecore. Alright, and then it's pretty much fucking set up so you can start doing your marketing and promotion and music videos and shit, which is a whole nother fucking topic. We're rolling? Okay, so wrapping this shit up, I had to change my battery here, so let's okay, so let's cost analysis for the producing your album, right? Okay, so Um, it's gonna be different for every album, obviously, but I'm gonna throw some ballparks just to help you estimate your shit, right? If you write your own songs, assuming, or you're with a team or whatever, or you got your songs, whatever, we're gonna assume that's free, right? So the songs can go from zero. If you're a hip hop guy, do some beat licenses. Okay, that can go to, let's say, $250 for a beat license. Not exclusive, just to rent the fucking thing, right? 0 to 50, 10 songs. That's 0 to $500. 500, okay? Now your artwork is, I'm gonna say you have a friend who's an artist or a photographer or whatever. I'm gonna say budget that shit for like, I'd say 300 ballpark. 0 to 300. Because, you know, it really depends on the artist or whatever. And you gotta factor in the graphic design too. Because you need someone to Photoshop that shit. Now, if you have Photoshop, then you could just do that, or if they're gonna do it or whatever, because you're gonna need to put text and shit on the goddamn album, or not, or just whatever, do whatever you need to do. So I'm gonna say 0 to 300, assuming you have a buddy, art buddy, who's gonna do it on the cheap, right? Because if you get a fucking real professional who doesn't fucking know you, they're gonna charge you like a shitload, right? So that's just 0 to 300. So let's say 300, okay? I'll just here, hold on, let me take this. So this is low to high estimates, okay? Now remember, this is on the cheap, bro. If you can get a better deal, get a better deal. Save some money, but this is assuming you're doing it yourself, okay? Your art, and then your recording cost. Recording. So that's, I'm gonna say, to record, just to fucking record, at 75 an hour. Let's just round it out to $100 an hour. For each song, dude, depending on how it goes, I'm gonna say it's gonna take like 2 hours, if you're really fucking prepared, under 2 hours to record the fucking song. So let's say $200 per song. That's $200 per song per track, and then so that's going to be about 200 times 10 is 2,000. Mixing it, you got to get it mixed. If you do it yourself, whatever, you know, again, 0 to whatever. The more shit you do yourself, the more money you save, but the more work you got to do, and the more pain in the ass, and the longer it's going to take. Those are things to take into consideration. Okay. Mixing, let's say you got somebody else doing it, still going to be about like 200 a track. You know, if you got like the head honcho guy of the recording studio, he mixes it, you know, it's like $150 an hour, dude. So this can add up real quick, bro. But let's just say you do it online, when they mix that shit for you, 0 to 200, okay? Same shit. Another 2,000. I'm gonna say this can go from anywhere. It's really like, fuck, 150 an hour, or /200 per track. So that's mixing. That's another $2,000. Mastering, it could go anywhere from, I'm gonna say $1,000, $100 per track. That gives you enough leeway if you do it like on the cheap, right? So 100 per track. Oops. That's another $1,000. Okay. Tunecore upload. That's like, I think, I don't know, $50 or whatever. Oh, the copyrights, Tunecore, all that shit. I'm just gonna put $100 for like upload, right? Upload ready. That's another $100. Now this is again just the production of the album. It's not taking into consideration your marketing budget and all that fucking shit. So this is just to get to the goddamn starting line. Okay. So we're gonna add this shit up. 500 plus 300 is 800. So 4,800, 5,800, 5,900. Round that shit up to $6,000. And that is how to produce an album, my friends. So it's gonna take you about $6,000 to get that shit. That's a ballpark estimate. That's a pretty good estimate though. If you do it on your cheap, you know what I'm saying. So yeah, man, and like I said, man, if you had to buy your own equipment to do all this fucking shit, then it would cost you even more fucking money. So again, go to the recording studios, try to get shit on the cheap, whatever, outsource the mixing and whatever, and then yeah, $6,000, baby. If you like this video, please share it with your friends who are also thinking about this stuff, because I think it's really helpful. Like I've done it, so this is really helpful for like people who are thinking about doing that. It's very common you see like some music students do Kickstarters and shit like that, and that's cool, man. But really like a professional fucking album on the cheap. Now, again, if you're gonna do a Kickstarter or whatever the fuck it is, or you're saving up for some shit, remember that you need money for marketing and promotion, okay? So that's a whole nother fucking video segment that I'm gonna fucking share with you guys. Thanks for watching.